The opening scene features a young Mexican man, Mimo Cruz, who works for a high-tech factory as a sleep dealer. Here, the workers are connected to a network via suspended cables that plug into nodes in their arms and back. This allows them to control the virtually connected robots that are placed on the working site beyond the borders. This advanced technology enables people to work for any country without being physically present in that location. The sleep dealers are called this because they might collapse if they work a long time. The movie then flashes back to the past as Mimo remembers his home in Santa Ana del Rio, Oaxaca, Mexico. We see Mimo, who lives with his family in a homestead located in the middle of the vast landscape. At one time in the past, a river used to flow through the area, but a private water company called Del Rio built a dam upstream, leaving the entire area dry. As a result of this, the residents of Santa Ana must pay money to enter the facility and collect water. The facility is monitored by security cameras armed with machine guns, so infiltration and any other way is not possible. Apart from this, Mimo's father wants him to participate in growing crops on their meager field, but his true passion lies in electronics and hacking. In his spare time, Mimo tinkers with discarded radio parts and works on his own creation. Currently, he seems to be working on building an electronic antenna that can tap into other communication signals. As he continues working on it, its range increases to far away cities, allowing him to breach any radio signals he wants. One night, he intercepts a radio frequency of Del Rio security headquarters in San Diego, California, and overhears a communication between a drone gunship operator, Rudy Ramirez, and his compatriots. But this time, his signal is unexpectedly detected, and they start tracking down his location. Out of fear, Mimo hastily disconnects the signal before his precise location can be identified. The following day, his father tasks him with delivering food crops to his uncle residing in another part of the village. Mimo then hitchhikes his way to his uncle's place. Once there, he finds him watching news regarding Del Rio security headquarters' mission to neutralize an Aqua terrorist intercept via their remote-controlled military aerial vehicle. On this live telecast, Rudy informs the viewers that they have recently detected an intercepting device, which happens to be the same antenna made by Mimo, on top of his shack. Realizing that his house is the target, Mimo and his uncle hurriedly run back to the shack in order to save his father. However, they are too late, as the aerial vehicle launches a rocket, detonating their entire house. As Mimo's father crawls out in an injured state, Rudy's superior confirms that he is a known Aqua terrorist. As a result, he fires another rocket at the old man, resulting in his tragic demise. Mimo is left shattered by the incident, and he mourns the loss of his father. Overcome with guilt and needing to find a way to support the rest of his family members, he then decides to go to the city in search of work. The very next day, he packs up his belongings and takes a bus to the city of Tijuana. On the way, a freelance writer, Luz Martinez, boards the same bus and sits next to him. Mimo notices that she has nodes on her wrists for interfacing with the digital network. When he asks where he can get some of that shit, she replies that he can find someone known as Koyotech to connect him. She also tells him about a specific black market in the city where he can have it installed for cheaper prices. Later that evening, Luz returns home and is greeted by her AI assistant, who informs her of her new message. Upon opening the file, she finds a video message from her moneylender, who pressures her to repay the money soon. He also threatens to break into her place and confiscate all of her belongings if she fails to comply. Here, we learn that Luz makes a living by uploading her memories to an online memory trading company called TrueNode, where viewers pay for the content. However, she is not able to deliver much of the interesting content, which is the reason why she is in debt. After a while of deliberating, she decides to upload her earlier memory of meeting Mimo on the bus. Meanwhile, Mimo goes to a shady alley in Tijuana, seeking a Koyotech to have the nodes installed. Turns out that the node allows an individual to go online and provide economic opportunities. While wandering around the area, he is approached by a random guy who offers to install the nodes at a very cheap price. When Mimo agrees, he leads him to an abandoned location. In an unexpected turn of events, the guy knocks Mimo down with a rod and robs all of his money. After a while, he regains his consciousness and heads in search of a place to stay. He eventually finds an abandoned shack at the edge of the city and decides to spend the night there. The next morning, Luz wakes up to discover that her story of Mimo has been purchased. Furthermore, the buyer offers her a generous amount for another story on him, this time with much more on his background. As a result, Luz sets out in search of Mimo and eventually finds him sitting in an alley. She asks if he found the Koyotek, to which he shares his unfortunate encounter. In an attempt to know more about him, Luz offers to help him out and takes him to the Tijuana node bar. Upon arrival, she prepares to install the nodes on him, revealing herself as one of the Koyoteks. Mimo wonders how she knows about all of this, to which she responds that she learned it from her ex-boyfriend. As she readies for the installation, she warns him about its potential risk. There is the possibility of electricity flowing into his body through these nodes. In case of a virus or short circuit, once his body is hooked into a machine, he can control it, but there is also a chance for the machine to exert control over him. Upon getting the equipment ready, Mimo takes off his shirt, causing Luz to be distracted for a moment. Following this, Mimo finally has the nodes installed, making him ready to work as a sleep dealer. The very next day, he visits a networked factory where he discovers numerous people engaged in virtual work. Mimo is then hired for a construction job in San Diego and is allotted a spot for this virtual reality work. As soon as he connects the cables to his nodes, he finds himself on the construction site with his robot positioned in one of the highest buildings. For the first few moments, he freaks out due to the height, but he somehow manages to calm himself down and begins working. After a full day on the job, Mimo goes to visit Luz at a restaurant and expresses his gratitude for helping him. As the two start their conversation, Luz tries to get more information about his background. He tells her that he came to Tijuana to earn money, citing his family's financial problems. He also reveals he eats in the Central Market every Sunday night, as it reminds him of his home. But when Luz asks him about his father, he refuses to talk about it. As days pass by, Mimo dedicates himself to hard work at the networked factory, earning himself some good money. He also sends a portion of his earnings back to his family, making them happy and slowly relieving them from financial burden. Nevertheless, there is a consequence. His energy is slowly being drained by the nodes. On the other hand, Luz tries to upload more memories of Mimo, but her buyers complain that she is not getting the background info they asked for. It is soon revealed that the person who is demanding information is none other than Rudy, who has been having doubts about the Santa Ana operation. Apart from all this, Mimo and Luz start spending most of their time together, bringing them closer and closer. Both of them develop feelings for each other, eventually turning their friendship into a romantic relationship. One night, the two are at Luz's place when they decide to share everything about themselves. As a result, they connect their nodes, allowing them to learn every detail of one another. This moment gradually turns intimate and they end up making love. The following day, Luz, who now knows everything about Mimo, uploads all the details on TrueNode, including how his father died. Upon going through this information, Rudy finally has his doubts confirmed that his work made him kill an innocent man. As a result, guilt slowly begins to overwhelm him. One fine day, Mimo goes to visit Luz at her place, but discovers that she is not home. As he is about to leave, a neighbor helps him unlock the apartment door, asking him to wait inside. During this time, Mimo looks around the place and stumbles upon Luz's computer. He curiously accesses her TrueNode account and discovers that she has been selling all of his memories. Shortly after, Luz arrives home and finds him watching the uploaded memories. She attempts to explain herself, but Mimo, feeling betrayed, storms away. From that day onward, he starts spending most of his time at the networking factory. He works extra hours, disregarding his degrading health. Luz writes an apology letter to him, and also mails him a recording of her memories, but it is still not sufficient to calm his anger. In the meantime, Rudy is unable to bear the weight of guilt any longer, so he decides to meet Mimo. He takes some days off from work and drives across the heavily fortified US-Mexican border. He locates Mimo at the Central Market having dinner. He sits beside him, and confesses to being the drone operator responsible for killing his father. Shocked, Mimo flees, fearing that Rudy might be there to kill him as well. However, Rudy catches them and explains that he was only following orders at the time. Now, he wants to make amends by helping him in any way possible. Mimo then comes up with a plan and goes to Luz, seeking her help for it. Later that night, he goes to the networked factory under the pretense of doing his night shift. After confirming that there's no one around, he opens the door for Luz and Rudy, sneaking them in. Luz then helps Rudy connect to a machine, after which he accesses the Del Rio security headquarters, taking command of his drone. His superiors notice this and ask what's going on, but he tries to deflect their curiosity. They instruct him to stop, but he ignores them. Upon learning that Rudy is not heeding orders, the security team dispatches other armed drones to take his drone down. Despite this setback, Rudy skillfully dodges the attacks and makes his way to Santa Ana. After a while of heated aerial dogfighting, Rudy makes it to Del Rio Water Company and blasts a hole in the dam. Upon witnessing this, Mimo recalls how his father used to toss pebbles towards the dam wall. Out of helpless frustration, in the aftermath of this event, Mimo receives news from his home and neighboring subsistence farms, who are celebrating the return of ancestral waters, even if not guaranteed permanently. On the other hand, Rudy, who can no longer go back to America, relocates to one of the villages outside Tijuana and begins working there as a water seller. Mimo moves on with his life in Tijuana, but he gives up the node labor job for farming, fulfilling his father's aspirations, and all of that great responsibility.